today. We're going to talk about peppers. This is part of our Jewels of Health series for study at home. And today, I'm Diane Mason. I'm the Family and Consumer Sciences Agent in Boone County with the Cooperative Extension Service. And I'm here today with David Kester. He's our horticulture agent. So I'm going to turn this over to David. He's going to talk to us about growing and all the good things about having peppers in your garden.
All right, well, thanks for coming out to the Nature Center today. We are in our 1 acre plot out here, and we use it as a demonstration plot for various vegetables, cut flowers, and all the produce that comes out of here we donate to Master Provisions, and it's used to feed people who need it. And the flowers, Gina and the Master Gardeners cut those, and they donate that to hospice, I'm sorry. And but today I want to talk to you about peppers, and we have a long line of peppers here. And I've got several varieties in here, but I want to talk to you first about peppers in general. And they are a mainstay in our gardens. They're very easy to grow. They don't get a lot of the diseases that tomatoes do. They're in the same family as tomatoes, but peppers are a lot more resistant to a lot of the fungal diseases as well as the insects. And you can see we've got a really long line of peppers here. We'll kind of go through that a little bit. But out here at the Nature Center, we use something called plasticulture. And we raise this bed up and we put a layer of plastic over it, and that plastic has a drip tube in it. And underneath there, we can fertilize and water these all by automation. And it really makes for a great pepper crop and really good yields out of there. So at home, there's a lot of options that you have. As you go through these, you may see some peppers in here that, boy, I'd like to grow that one. But what we have to do when we want to grow a specific peppers, we've got to start those from seed by ourselves, because a lot of times the discount stores will not have the type of peppers transplants for sale that you want. So we have to start these about 8 to 10 weeks before the first frost date by seed. And we do that with grow lights, and we bring those down, we start them inside, and you've got to start them again about 10 weeks before the frost date is over. So if you want to go plant your peppers on May 10th, you back that up 10 weeks, and that's when you have to put the seed in the ground. Peppers like a really warm soil, and they like a lot of moisture when they're starting to germinate that seed. And it's best that you start them at least 2 weeks before you start your tomatoes. So we've got all these pepper plants out here, and they need full sun, which you've got obviously out here. We've got a great situation with that. We don't have any kind of trees in the way or anything like that. Peppers and tomatoes need full sun, so that's a great advantage that we have here. Also, you want to make sure that you can water them during the growing season. And one of the things that we keep talking about and preaching is using compost. This is the time of year where you can start making compost and putting it in your beds. And we put some really good soil in here, and we watered as obviously as you know, and we've got a really nice crop throughout here that's really doing well. And I want to talk to you out here. You're going to see some varieties, and you know, peppers come in sweet, bell, spicy, hot, and ridiculously hot. And I do not plant any of the ridiculously hot peppers out here. We have kids out here, and they can, be picking and touch their eyes. And I just, I don't like them myself, and so we stick with sweet peppers. And you're going to see some peppers that you may say, well, those have got to be hot peppers. Well, I'll tell you, they're all sweet out here because we just aren't going to have anything else out here. One of the things that I wanted to also tell you about is peppers do extremely well in pots. If you've got a patio or something and you want to have some pepper pot plants around, you can put them in a pot. This is a 5-gallon pot, and I would not put a pepper in a pot that's less than 5 gallons. And this one, you can probably go somewhere and find a more decorative pot, and I would certainly do that if it's going to be where you're going to be looking at it a lot, but you want that size. Another really important thing is do not use soil from your backyard. Go to a store and buy a planting mix. and that's what you want to fill your pot with. Much better off doing that. I wanted to show you a little bit of our Plasticulture production system, and this is just nothing but a very thin sheet of plastic that we have a machine that goes down the row. It applies that plastic, and underneath here, and I'll cut it, and I should, there it is. You can see that's my drip tape, and through this we can put fertilizer and we can water. Whenever it dries out, it goes right through this drip tape and it keeps the plants in really good shape. And at home during the growing season, you want to fertilize as well, and I usually wait for my pepper plants to have a little bit of fruit on them, and then I fertilize them. And I will use fish emulsion at home, things like that, some organic things, but you want to give them another shot of fertilizer when the first fruit is setting on the plant. The second thing is, this is one called Lemon Drop, and you might look at that and say, that is a really hot pepper, but no, it's really a very sweet pepper, and you can grill these, you can do a lot of things with them, but that is definitely a sweet pepper. This is one of my favorite plants. This is Carmen variety of pepper. It's another sweet one, and I just love it because this plant the peppers turn a fire engine red color, and you put that on the grill and it is just spectacular. I also like it because this pepper has very thick walls and it stands up to grilling, and it's just a great pepper for us to use. On this plant, you can see I have red peppers down at the bottom, and up here at the top, I've got a lot of green ones that are coming on. All green peppers will eventually turn red. The interesting thing is about it, when they're green, they have more vitamin C in them, but as they age and they turn colors on your plant, they get sweeter. So I like sweet peppers. Mine stay on the plant. Okay, you're probably wondering why I'm cutting peppers off the plant. And the reason is that peppers are really brittle, and if you pull them, you will take some of the plant with you. And we want that plant to continue producing peppers, so we always cut them when we pick them. Okay, this pepper is called Escamillo. I hope I pronounced that right. It's Spanish. And you can see that it turns a really bright yellow. And you put that on with some of the red Carmen on the grill, and it is just gorgeous. This pepper also has very thick walls, and it's really good for grilling, doing anything with it really, but you get that wonderful red color or yellow color out of it. I've got some on here that are just, you can see they're very, still very green on the plant, but they're starting to turn a little bit. And this is another one, and this one's called Olympus, and it is a really neat pepper as well. This pepper is called Red Knight. And you can see it's loaded with green peppers again up on the top of the plant, but on the same plant, I've let this one go for a good while, and I'll cut it, and I've got a beautiful red. And this one starts out green, leave it on the plant, and you will get wonderful red colored peppers. And just so you know, peppers aren't foolproof. Sometimes we get in some insects. I think we had some worm damage here. Pretty easy to control this with a spray of, we can use some organic sprays and knock that out without any problem. So not a serious pest with peppers. I'd really like to encourage you over the winter to, 1, start composting, 2, take a soil test, because we need that to tell you how much fertilizer or lime or organic matter you need, so that's always important. And the other thing is start reading some of those seed catalogs that are coming in. If you see a variety that you want, more than likely, you're not going to find it at the discount store or at the farm supply store. You're going to have to grow it from seed. And we have plans on how to use some of the grow lights in your home, and you can actually grow these plants and your favorite varieties at home. If you want information about any of gardening techniques or any of the things that we've talked about today, they are in AGR 128, and all you have to do is call the office and request the Home Vegetable Gardening Guide, and we'll send that out to you.
Okay, David, I have a couple questions for you.
All right.
You know, I've been told that there are male and female peppers and that you can tell because of the number of lobes on the bottom. Talk to me about that because I don't understand.
Well, you've been told wrong information.
Of course.
These, it's just a matter of variety or how the plant grows. They can have 4 lobes, they can have 3 lobes. I judge a lot of county fairs and a lot of state fairs, and when I'm judging a plate of peppers and they have to have 5 on a plate, I want them all to have the same number of lobes. But as taste-wise, it makes no difference, and it's not a male-female thing at all. They're all the same. There's another myth with peppers is if I plant a hot pepper next to a sweet pepper, will the hot pepper make the sweet pepper hot? No. If you save the seeds from either one of them and we had cross-pollination, then you could get into some trouble with a very hot pepper the next year. But during the current growing season, they are not going to switch back and forth and have the sweet pepper will not become hot and the hot pepper will not become sweet in that growing season.
Good to know. I have another question for you.
All right.
So when I go shopping, like I see green peppers and they're like 79 cents a piece or something like that. And the colored peppers are more like $1.50 each.
Yes.
What's the deal? They're all peppers.
Yes. We are growing colored peppers that will turn this bright color. But they start out green, remember, but they have to stay on the plant another 2 to 3 weeks. And so you're paying for that extra time and delayed harvest with the colored ones.
And probably more chance for
Yes,
problems.
exactly. You know, they are on the plant a little bit longer, so they've got to be cared for, they've got to be sprayed and all that kind of thing.
Okay, then one more thing. Sometimes when I cut my pepper open, I will find mold on the seeds inside. This one probably won't do it. But sometimes I'll find some mold or some moisture damage on the inside.
Right. Usually, if the walls are still thick and hard, you can scoop that out and the pepper's fine.
Okay.
And not a problem.
All right. So I just, sometimes I find there's like a little hole in the
Yeah,
bottom or
sometimes you can
around
get
the
that,
top.
and that'll allow moisture in there, and so you can get some mold to start.
So especially kind of look for that when
Yes.
you're picking out your peppers.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to harvest some peppers, and I am going to put them in a basket and take them to the kitchen so
Very
that I
good.
can show you all some more information on how to cut peppers and use peppers.
Great.
So thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
David, for sharing your knowledge.
Thanks.
Okay, we picked some peppers out here in our nature center pepper plot, and I'm going to take these into the kitchen and talk to you about how to use these peppers efficiently. So I'll see you in a little bit in the kitchen. Okay, I thought we'd talk a little bit about dehydrating peppers, which is a great way to preserve your peppers. Takes up a lot less space than takes up in the freezer, and if you only have a little bit of pepper left, you can put it on the dehydrator tray. It takes 6 to 8 hours probably to dehydrate your peppers, depending on how big they are. So you can dehydrate rings, you can dehydrate strips, and you can dehydrate pieces. And you'll just need some type of dehydrator. This just happens to be one sample. Comes with a tray that's got some large holes in it, and you can also buy insert trays. This one's just a flat tray that helps keep things from falling down through the holes, and this one's another type of insert that you can put in to keep pieces from falling through again. So I cut up some peppers just a little bit ago, and I put them in to dehydrate. So this is just some little pepper pieces, just maybe a 1/4 of an inch or so big. You want to try to keep all of your pieces about the same size so that they'll dry at the same time. These will still take probably 6 hours to dehydrate. And I also did some strips. Again, they're about a 1/4 inch thick. These will take longer than the pieces just because they're a little bit bigger. And then these are some more strips. So these have been in maybe an hour or two. So you can tell that they're already starting to dehydrate. So we just leave these on. It's about 135 to 140 degrees. You can read the manual that comes with your dehydrator, or we have dehydrating information here at the office. You set it, kind of forget it. Although you don't totally forget it, you want to check on it and move things around. You'll rotate trays as you go through the process. Just if you have a lot of trays, it just helps keep things drying at about the same rate. It also lets you take and check on things. I try to move things around a little bit as we go along. And some dehydrators will tell you how many trays you need to have minimum. So this particular hydrator says you need to have at least 4 trays. So there's one that's empty. I could add more stuff to it if I wanted to. And this one happens to have an on-off switch. So when it's done at the end of the time, I will have a product that looks like this or something like this. I did these on another day. So these were just some pieces of peppers. How I know that they're done is that they actually break. Hi, I just washed my hands. The peppers have all been washed. We picked these the other day, and today we're going to talk about cooking peppers as part of our Jewels for Health home study program. So this happens to be an aloha pepper, and I'm going to cut it up into some strips. Kind of an easy way to do this. Cut down, and then we can just kind of roll it and get rid of the inside. There are many different ways people cut peppers. I just want these cut in strips because I'm going to freeze these. So I don't have any use for this particular pepper at the moment. Freezing is a great way to preserve peppers. You don't have to blanch them. You can freeze them in pieces or strips or rings, and they don't tend to clump together. You want them as dry as possible. You'll put them in a labeled freezer container, whether it's a freezer bag or a solid sided container, or you can use a freezing canning jar that's safe for freezing. And we're going to put all of our peppers in here. I labeled this pepper strips and I put the date on it. My main goal is to get as much air out as possible. So I'll seal this up most of the way, and I'm just going to turn this over on itself until I get most of the air out, and then seal it the rest of the way. And I'll lay it as flat as I can, kind of flatten it out some so that it sits easily in the freezer, and I'll put it in the freezer, and I'll have pepper strips anytime I want them, and I can use this for a stir fry, can add this to all kinds of things. There's really no limit to what you can do with these. You can also take these and put these on the grill and add them to a sandwich. All kinds of things you can do with frozen pepper strips. So these are the pepper strips that I just cut up, ready to go in the freezer because I had extra pepper. But you can also buy frozen pepper strips at the store. Of course, you're going to pay a little bit more. This happens to have pepper and onion blend, but you can also buy just plain pepper strips. You're going to pay for the convenience of this. So simple, easy to do at home. And then I would not throw away these pieces of pepper. I'll cut those up and put them in another bag so that it's just pieces of pepper instead of pepper strips. And I'll discard my seeds unless I want to save the seeds, dry them out, and plant them for next year. Okay, we're still talking about peppers, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about roasting peppers. And a lot of people will roast red peppers. Red peppers are the sweetest of the types of peppers, and as we learned in the garden the other day, green peppers are not ripe, and they'll ripen into red, yellow, orange, some other color if you leave them on the vine long enough. But today we're going to roast red peppers. You've probably seen these at the store in jars, and that's a great way to do it if you don't want to do it on your own, but a lot of times it's cheaper to do it on your own. So just take a whole pepper. I've washed it well, and I'm going to add a little bit of oil to it. And I'm wearing gloves simply because I don't want to get my hands dirty, that I have to wash them after I do this. Put it on an aluminum foil lined pan. I have the broiler on, and I'm just going to put this under the broiler, and it's going to get charred black on all sides. So I kind of have to watch it. I'm going to put this one in, and I have one in already, and it's not starting to blister yet. So we're just going to wait until these start to blister. They're going to turn black, and we're going to take tongs and turn them so that we get them black or blistered on all sides. It doesn't have to necessarily be black, but they should be at least brown and blistered. Okay, so I think our pepper is done. it is. The skin is charred and blistered. That's what we want. It doesn't look very nice right now, but I'm just gonna take this pepper, I'm gonna put it in a bowl. You could put it in a pan, you could put it in a bag. Really can do most anything to try to let the steam collect, because the steam is gonna help you get the skin off of the pepper here in a little bit. So this will start steaming. We're just gonna let it sit and do its thing until it's cool enough to touch. Okay, so our roasted red pepper that we roasted in the oven has cooled enough to where I can touch it, and it has collapsed because it's been cooked. So I'm going to take it out. I'm going to put it on my cutting board, and my goal is to take the skin off. I want to get rid of all of the black skin, number one, and it should come off very easily because it was blistered and then we let it steam. So it's coming off in nice big pieces. It's still kind of messy. That's okay. Sometimes we make messes in the kitchen. So I have a very soft pepper. And then of course I need to get the seeds and take the stem out. So just take my knife and I can just cut. And then all I have to do is just peel the seeds out, or I can cut them out, whatever works. Sometimes you just scrape it and you can scrape the seeds off. Roasted red pepper is great on sandwiches, like make a portobello mushroom sandwich and add a roasted red pepper. Gives a great flavor. The roasting intensifies the sweetness some. And let's see what else. You can put it on hamburgers, you can put it on pizza. There's all kinds of things you can do with roasted red pepper. So I'm just going to cut mine in some kind of rather large pieces or strips, something I could put on a sandwich. And I will put them in this bowl because I will probably be freezing these too. I don't have a use for them again today. So just some nice pieces. And there's roasted red pepper done at home, very easy, very simple. So all I did is I put it under the broiler and broiled it until it was blistered on all sides. You can also, if you have a gas stove, you can do it right on top of the gas stove. If you have a grill, like an outdoor grill, you can do it on the grill. There's all kinds of ways that you can roast your own peppers. So give it a try and enjoy. Okay, we're still talking about peppers, and right now we're going to make the 3-oat pilaf, which is one of the recipes that's in your Vegetables Jewels of Health publication. Very simple, very easy, and kind of an interesting way to serve both oats and vegetables. It is a savory dish. So we're going to start. I want to talk a little bit about peppers. It calls for 3/4 of a cup of red pepper cut up and 3/4 of a cup of yellow. So I can show you a couple different ways to do that. I usually cut off the top, and I can cut off a little bit of the bottom. Make one cut through the outer shell or outer surface, and just kind of roll the pepper to get rid of all of the insides. And I'll add those to the compost pile. I want to get rid of this white membrane. And I just have this big long strip of pepper now that I can go through, and I'll cut it into strips because I need to have diced or chopped pepper. It just calls for chopped, which chopped just means various sizes. There's no regulation on what chopped is, but I do want them to cook kind of quickly, and I also want them to still show up in the dish. So red peppers are some of the sweetest peppers there are, very high in vitamin C, vitamin A. So I'm just going to chop these into pieces. And then I need 3/4 of a cup, which I should hopefully have in my, that was a large red pepper. So there's 1/2 of a cup. And we'll do 1/4 of a cup here. And I couldn't have planned that much better, could I? So here's another way that you can cut up peppers. It's just take and cut down one side. You're just trying to avoid that center core with the seeds on it, which I'm not doing very well with this particular pepper because the seeds are everywhere. That's okay. So I'm still going to cut out this membrane. This is actually called the placenta, this part right here toward the top that's holding on to the seeds. And in a hot pepper, that's where you're going to find the heat. You're not going to necessarily find it in the seeds, but bell peppers are 0 on the Scoville scale, so we don't have to worry about heat with our peppers. So again, I'll just chop this into pieces. There are some seeds in this, it's okay. Seeds aren't harmful. Add a little extra fiber into my dish. I did wash all of these vegetables before I started. I just rinsed them under cool running water. You don't need to use soap. You don't need to use any kind of detergent or anything. Just cool running water will help get all the germs or bacteria off and give you a nice vegetable to work with. So that was 1/4 cup. This is almost 1/2 cup. We're getting there. So we've got 1/2 cup and 1/4 cup. That's our 3/4 cup. So if I follow our little recipe here, I'm going to heat up my skillet, probably kind of on high. I actually want to kind of saute these. So I need a tablespoon of oil. Olive oil is fine. Canola is fine. Any kind of oil will work. Whatever you like. Grapeseed oil is a high smoke point too. I'm just going to heat my oil. So I have my oil hot. Add my peppers, so 3/4 cup of yellow pepper, 3/4 cup of the red pepper that I just chopped, and this is 8 ounces of mushrooms that I've chopped. When my skillet gets hot, I'm going to add that. There we go, we're starting to get a little sizzle. So add my chopped mushrooms. These just happen to be white button mushrooms. You could use baby portobello, but just some type of chopped up mushroom is fine. Calls for 1/2 cup of diced green onion or green onion chopped. And I use the white and the stem of that, the green stem. Usually with green onions, you normally cut off the bottom root part. And usually I'll cut off the top part, maybe 1 inch down. If it's tough or dried out, I'll definitely cut that off and then just slice it up. Calls for 1 clove of chopped garlic. Put that in. And if you were here, you would start smelling this. It smells really good. This is really a fun dish to make, and it surprises people because it's oats. And most of the time when we think about pilaf, we think about rice. This is a little bit different. Oats are a whole grain, so they're good for you. Very versatile. So while that's sauteing, I'm going to go ahead and cut up my basil. It says I need about 2 tablespoons of fresh basil. So I picked this from my basil plant this morning. A couple ways I can chop this up, but either way and I've washed my basil, just so you know. I washed it under cool water. I'm going to roll these leaves up kind of like a cigar. And take my knife and make some basic cuts. So there's my basil for a little bit from now when it calls for it in the recipe. We just need to do that 2 to 4 minutes. Our vegetables still need to be crisp tender. We just want them so they kind of a little bit of tooth to it, a little bit of bite, but not mushy. We're not looking for mushy vegetables. We just want some good, crisp, tender vegetables. While that's cooking, I need to get my oats ready. So I have my oats here at 1 3/4 cup of rolled oats. These are old-fashioned oats if you look for it at the store. And like I said, they're still a whole grain. They're ready to go. I have 2 egg whites. You can use the whole egg as it says in the recipe, or you can do the 2 egg whites. I'm going to mix those up a little bit to sort of break them up. And I'll add those to my oats. And stir those around until my oats are evenly coated in the egg white. So I think my vegetables are at the point I can add the oats. I'm going to cook this over. I'm going to add the oats to the vegetable mixture and cook it for 5 to 6 minutes with the vegetables. Okay, so we're finishing up our cooking of the pepper oat pilaf. I need to add my chicken broth to it and my salt and pepper. And my basil, and I cut up that fresh basil, so I'm going to throw that in. Oh, this smells yummy. It looks very pretty. You're getting some vegetables in, you've got a whole grain. There's all kinds of good things about this. I have a little bowl here to put it in for a serving. You could serve this with chicken or beef. Pork would go well. You could try it with fish. I might not go with fish so much, but you could certainly try it. It could be a vegetarian entree if you wanted to add, or really it's already got egg in it, so you could add a nice tossed salad to the side of it, or a fruit salad, or a piece of fruit, nice piece of watermelon. Turn off my burner. I'm going to move my pan away from my burner and put some in a bowl here. This makes about 6 cups, which is about 6 servings. There's about a cup in a serving. So add a little garnish to this if you want to. These are just some green onion tops, kind of sliced up. And there you go. That's it's a nice side dish, or if you wanted to serve a larger portion, it could be a main dish. Wouldn't be any problem with that. Okay, we've talked a lot about peppers today, bell peppers. We did not talk about chili peppers because our focus really was on the sweet variety. These don't have any heat, even though some of the shapes are a little longer. You might think this is a hot pepper. It's not, it's a sweet pepper. You can buy peppers in many varieties at the store. You can buy them whole, you can buy them frozen, you can buy them in packages, ready to go for dips. You can even buy dehydrated pepper pieces at some stores, or you can dehydrate your own. So we talked about dehydrating, we talked about freezing, we talked about chopping, and then we made a recipe of the 3 pepper oat pilaf. So I hope you've enjoyed our session on peppers. Hope you've learned a lot, and thank you for joining us for the Vegetables Jewels of Health series.